Hey everybody, welcome back. Craig Shoup here with Bob Garver, our New York City film critic. Bob is back. We've had a little bit of time off, but we are back with a big slate of summer release movies. The first movie is one that we'll catch up on. It's The Bike Riders, the latest from Jeff Nichols. Austin Butler, Jodie Comer, Tom Hardy star in this bike gang movie. Bob, what'd you think of The Bike Riders?
Did not care for the bike riders. I'll be honest. The actors in this movie seem to fall into two categories: um, pretty boys that want to prove that they have range by playing these tough guys, but they're not quite pulling it off. They still come off as pretty boys, and guys that I previously bought as tough guys that now look like pretty boys because of this movie.
Okay.
Um, Damon Harriman, Boyd Holbrook, Michael Shannon. I can't say that that they're really doing themselves any favors with this movie. Um, and of course, star Austin Butler. I know he's a good actor, but
Mhm.
he's not great in this. And even Tom Hardy, who tries to play the most respectable member of the crew, isn't really pulling it off. But the movie tells the story of this biker gang from Chicago in, I think, the late '60s, early '70s, and just kind of the adventures they go on and the family they form. But they just make so many stupid decisions that I don't know why anybody would care about them. I know there's an appeal to this biker culture,
Mhm.
but whatever appeal they're supposed to have is lost on me.
Yeah, and it kind of seems a little out of place maybe for a summer movie. I mean, I know it was kind of stuck in the middle of June, but didn't make a whole lot of money, and it kind of felt like it was a little out of place. Did this feel more like it should have been like a maybe like a September release or something? I mean, a bike rider movie. I know it had some star power in it, but it just seems out of place as a summer release.
Yeah, yeah, it can't compete with blockbusters, and it's not really an awards contender. So September, yeah, what you're saying about September makes sense.
Okay. Well, do you have a final grade for the bike riders?
D.
Okay. Wow. Tough one there. All right. Well, hopefully the movies will get better for you, Bob.
They do.
Next up, okay, that's great to hear. Next up, we have A Quiet Place Day One. This is, I guess, would be a prequel to the John Krasinski movies, which were wildly successful. He co-wrote, directed, and starred in the first two Quiet Place movies. Here we have Lupita Nyong'o getting a chance to get maybe a good paycheck and show off her ability to act as always. What did you think of A Quiet Place Part One
Quiet Place
or
Part
Day
One.
One? Right.
Believe it or not, I found it to be the best of the Quiet Place movies,
Okay.
including the ones that Krasinski directed.
Okay. Why so? What stood out with this one? Maybe.
Well, first of all, Nyong'o's performance.
Yeah.
You can see every bit why she's an Academy Award winner. And to be honest, I think we have the first maybe Oscar nomination worthy performance of the year
Okay.
with her in this movie. Just a tremendous uh, protagonist. You're rooting for her every step of the way, even though she's playing this cancer patient that doesn't have much time left, and she's not even trying to make her last days really meaningful. Uh, she just wants to go out on a good note.
And she seems perfect for a role like this because I remember her in Us. She was I mean, she was great in Us. I thought with
Yeah,
very emotive of her face, and it feels like she would be perfect for a movie where talking can kind of get you killed in this universe of a quiet place. So it seems like she'd be perfect with her ability to show a lot of range just using facial expressions and just her eyes, and she seems like the perfect cast for this type of movie.
yes. Now, this movie's trailers I thought were terrible. They made it look like one of the worst movies of the year. they filmed several scenes just for the trailers that are not in the movie, so
Okay.
don't be thrown off by the trailers.
Okay. All right, and obviously, this is probably perfectly fit into a summer movie. It's a blockbuster action monster type movie, all things kind of wrapped into one.
Not to mention
Visually,
franchise, that's important too.
right? It's a franchise as well. Obviously, this must have had some quality jump scares for you, and probably some fun little action sequences. I'm
Yeah,
imagining.
yeah, a
Okay,
few of those.
okay. What's your final grade for A Quiet Place Day One?
B.
All right, fantastic. Well, this is the movie that I'm probably most interested in talking about this week. Despicable Me 4. Bob, I'm a big fan of the Despicable Me franchise. It's just got this certain charm about it. I know they're not great movies, but they're so entertaining. Love the Minions. There's a lot of hijinks. Maybe the first Minions movie was a little bit of a misfire, although I still liked it. But I feel like they're kind of like a plug and play franchise at this point where you probably have similar themes to the other movies and things happen that are probably very similar to action movements, gags, whatever it may be, but I still find the franchise pretty entertaining. Tell us about Despicable Me 4.
Despicable Me 4 finds Gru and his family having to go into a sort of witness protection because a supervillain, um, voiced by Will Ferrell, has escaped prison and is vowing revenge on Gru. And especially targeting his newborn son.
Well, I mean, what do you think about the Despicable Me franchise? This is a franchise that started off with a small budget, made a lot of money, and subsequent sequels have just made dollar after dollar. They've been box office gold for Illumination Studios and Universal Pictures. I mean, you can't deny that they are money makers, and this will probably be similar to those other movies.
This franchise has kind of been all over the map for me.
Mhm.
I guess I don't know if I'm just in a different mood every time I see it, but I didn't like the first one, but I liked the second one when they added when they
Kristen
added the
Wiig.
wife, and I thought the
Yeah,
jokes were sharper.
yeah, I agree there. I
Didn't
did like the second one better than the first.
didn't really like the first Minions movie, but got back. I kind of got back into it when they did a third one. Um, and then I kind of like the last Minions movie as well because
Yeah,
it's Steve Carell and Alan Arkin teaming up for what
yeah.
turned out to be the
A
final
good little
time.
origin story. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I agree there. I mean, I think it's there's been strikes of just absolute comedic gold, and then there's been some stuff that's been repetitive and maybe falls a little flatter because it's been there, done that with whether it be the Despicable Me franchise or other franchises or movies in general. But what'd you think here of Despicable Me 4? Is this a worthy entry into the Despicable Me franchise?
uh, no, I don't think so. We're back to about the level of the first one. I thought, um, you know, a lot of emphasis on spoken jokes that just ramble on and go nowhere. A lot of tired slapstick that we've seen a bunch of times. They had a baby, which of course, is always cute, but they don't really they don't really add anything interesting other than the baby. I was really disappointed with the villain because you know it's Steve Carell versus Will Ferrell. This should be Gru versus Megamind. This should be
Right.
Brick versus Ron Burgundy. But
Yes.
they just don't have the kind of chemistry that you'd want them to have.
Yeah.
Um, and Yeah, just all this emphasis on the characters trying to establish new identities never really goes anywhere because you know that they're going to resolve it at the end and go back to normal.
Right. Okay. Final grade for Despicable Me 4.
C minus.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
I saw a lot of parallels between this movie and Kung Fu Panda 4 from earlier in this year, and it just made me think about how much better that movie did the fourth movie in an animated series formula
sure.
better than this one.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, obviously, I'm sure at some point we'll be talking about Despicable Me 5 or
Oh
Minions
yeah.
3 or whatever, because this franchise is just, I think, kind of surprisingly, but I think it's really tailor made for kids with the minions and all their wisecracks and their weird language and their movements and their gags. But I would expect, especially right now with a sort of a sagging box office, other than Inside Out 2, you're probably going to see a lot of money made from this movie. I would imagine, maybe not $1 billion, but probably a strong take at the box office and more sequels to come. I bet.
Well, I guess animated movies for kids are doing really well. It's been Inside Out 2 for the last three consecutive weekends,
Um,
which is great for them and Disney.
they
Because,
needed that. Yes, they needed
yeah,
that bad. Yeah.
but it's ripe for a usurping, and
Yeah.
I think this is the movie to do it. Um, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, as always, we appreciate you stopping by, Bob. What do you have coming up in the coming weeks, maybe that we could review?
Next week will probably be Fly Me to the Moon.
Okay.
Um, I'll be off the following. I'll be off from my print column the following weekend because I'll be going to my cousin's wedding.
Okay.
Um, Hi, Kate, if you're watching. Uh, so I'll miss Twisters. I'll see Twisters eventually, so we can talk about it on the show.
Okay.
But I think we should wait until the week after that, when Deadpool and Wolverine comes out, to do our next show.
Okay. That's perfectly fine and understandable. Bob, as always, we appreciate you stopping by. We will see you next time, and we hope that you have a fun time at the movies.
All right. Thank you very much. This is the highlight of my week.